Hey everybody, this is Gus G coming at you live from Thessaloniki in Greece, and this is Premier Guitars Big 5. So my favorite guitar is actually the one that I'm holding right here. It's my signature Jackson guitar. I've been involved with all the specs, so this one for me is like, this is the one. That's all I've used on stage and in the studio for I mean, we've had a couple of models before, but this is the latest one, which is like an ivory color. It has a bit more of a vintage look, you know, the block inlays, as you can see here. And, you know, chrome hardware, chrome pickups, rosewood fretboard, 24 frets. I've kind of found my sweet spot like years ago. So, you know, there's a certain combination of specs that I go for every time I create a guitar. I mean, obviously we change the cosmetics. Like, you know, we have it available in black with bevels and like white pinstripes and all that. And, you know, different inlays and stuff like that. So that stuff changes, but the main specs seem to be the same throughout the years. Actually, right now, the one that I'm holding here is a USA custom shop, but I also play the import models as well. I even use them on tour, on stage. And it's one of the things that I want to make sure that the specs are pretty much as close as possible to the custom shop guitar, so that, you know, even if I go to a shop to do a clinic and I pick up one out of the shelf, it feels pretty much, you know, similar. But with that said, as you know, every guitar is the same, but it's different. This one was the first finished prototype that I got, and usually whenever we have finished like the guitar and I get my final first prototype, like with everything, and everything is like exactly as I wanted it, that seems to be the main one that follows me on tour. You know, it gets all the battle scars from stage or from traveling. These are the ones that I usually make the next album with. So this one has been with me since I first played it live summer 2019, and then I went on a world tour with that, so it's already got miles in it, you know, so that, you know, it feels right. My desert island album, just the thought of being stuck in an island forever and listen to one album over and over again, I don't know, maybe I would go for a compilation album. Something from the Beatles, like a best of or something, because the Beatles are one of my favorite bands, if not my all-time favorite band. Also, their music is for any mood, any day, and it just makes you feel better. So if I would be stuck in one place forever, yeah, I would want to have the Beatles with me. My biggest guitar culture pet peeve is probably the fact that people are really stuck on tremolos. I'm a guy who plays stop tail bridges, and I don't know, maybe that's very uncommon for a metal guitar player or for a shredder, whatever you call it. And I think that throws a lot of people off from time to time. They at least tell me about that, like, why don't you make guitars with tremolos? And I'm like, why is everybody so stuck on tremolos, and especially locking tremolos, you know? Nothing against that, but it's just not for me. I mean, sure, it's another tool that you use to express yourself on the guitar and the instrument, and I respect that. Whenever we introduce a new model of mine, all of them, they are like with, you know, like standard bridges, and I always get that, like, yeah, make one with tremolo and I'll buy it. Well, I feel that a locking tremolo, for example, in my opinion, kills the sustain on the guitar, and I feel like I have much better grip and much better control of the notes that I play with just a standard bridge. And it's just like, if you say that, it's almost like you're a heretic, you know? Speaking of locking tremolos, I wouldn't do that, because if I break a string, I don't want to think of what's going to come up next, like the chaos. Secondly, it takes forever to tune a guitar and to keep it in tune. So I'm just not a fan of that. And also, you know, I can get most sounds that I want without a tremolo. I can just do it with bending strings, for example. There's one Jeff Beck and there's one Steve Vai, right? And these guys can do insane things with their tremolos, and they're, you know, I have no aspiration to try and do stuff like that. I also see a lot of players rely on that and kind of like forgetting their vibrato. So they rely a lot on the whammy bar, and I'm not saying it's wrong, you know, everybody's everybody got their thing, sure, you know, but I like to dig in for that vibrato and not rely on a whammy bar. The guitar player that is a hero of mine that might surprise my fans and followers, probably I would say would be Robbie Krieger of The Doors. With my background, me being known as primarily as a metal guitar player and playing, you know, in Firewind and power metal, and then being with Ozzy and all that, the last thing you would expect me to hear is, you know, saying how much I love The Doors. But I do love The Doors. I grew up on that band. I love everything about them, you know, like they were just so innovative, so unique. Their sound, like they sound like no other band. Robbie had a great style. He was a great blues player. He was like a kind of like a hybrid, you know, of everything. He could play from flamenco and jazzy things and blues, and then he could rip as well, you know. And then he played also with, you know, with no pick. My secret weapon. Actually, it's not so secret, and sorry for the shameless plug, but it's gonna be my pickups. I've actually just designed these pickups. It's my new venture. It's my new company, which is called Blackfire Pickups, and they originally lived on this guitar, on this signature model, and we made them exclusively for this guitar. But now we just released them as a standalone product. But I'm a very basic setup kind of guy on stage. I just want one good guitar and one great amp, and that's it. And a lot of the sound, I think, is, you know, I rely a lot on the pickups. My pickups are very high output, actually. This one is an active circuit. I don't really rely much on distortion pedals, boosters, overdrive. I don't really mess with that. I used to, but not so much anymore. Like my pedal board is just a tuner and a wah and a delay. That's it. You know, the pickups is also like the origin of tone. That's where, you know, that's the first contact of your pick, you know, of your picking style, and it picks up the dynamics and the picking response, and it translates, it goes from here out to the amp, you know. So this is a very important piece of gear for me, and that's why I guess I decided to start my own pickups company. They're based on an Alnico 5 magnet, so it already has a high output and has a lot of crunch, and it focuses a lot on mid-range. But as a, you know, adding an active circuit and preamp obviously gives me that extra boost and that extra sustain, I guess, and thickness to the tone that would, I guess, under other circumstances you would get from a booster pedal. But it's like I have my booster built in here, in a way. That's how I look at it. But it also responds very well with picking. It doesn't really kill the tone of the wood. I play Blackstar amps, and I play a 4, like the Series 200, which is 4-channel amp. I only use 1 channel. Even like for my clean tones, I'll just roll the volume down. Okay, it's not like crystal clean, but you know, I like to have that kind of sort of overdriven kind of sound that has less volume. And you know, when you want to blast back into playing heavy rhythms, you just crank it up again.